Right now, a newborn gets a heated room, a sterile hospital, and 3 vaccines. It gets a small army of people whose only job is keeping it breathing. And the parents still panic about absolutely everything. So let's review the original parenting experience. For most of history, there was no hospital, no vaccine, no thermometer. Nobody on earth even knew that germs existed. And the numbers were brutal. Roughly half of all children born did not reach their fifth birthday. Half. Flip a coin, that was childhood. So here's the question: how did anyone survive being a baby at all? The answer is not really about medicine. It is about the most sophisticated social behavior ever to evolve on this planet. Stay to the end, because we quietly abandoned part of it. First, a question nobody asked, like, why is a human baby so uniquely helpless? Most animals are born almost ready to go. A baby giraffe drops 2 meters, stands up, and walks within the hour. A foal is trotting in under 2 hours. Even baby chimps can cling to their mother right after birth. A human newborn can do none of that. It is helpless for months, completely dependent on other people for everything. And that is not a flaw. It is a specific evolutionary trade-off. The reason is your enormous brain. A fully developed baby brain would need a skull too big to be born. So evolution made us give birth early instead. Human babies are essentially born premature by design. At birth, your brain is only about a quarter of its adult size. A newborn chimp is already at nearly half. So most of your brain had to grow outside the womb, exposed to the world, while you were utterly dependent on others. This is what makes the human infant impossible to raise alone. Not difficult, impossible. Not even for a few hours. The species literally cannot reproduce without social support. So the real question is not about one parent's skill. It is about the structure of the whole group. And what ancient humans came up with was remarkable. You have heard the phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child." Today, it is a cliche on a poster. But in human evolution, it was not a metaphor. It was biology. Scientists call it cooperative breeding. In most primates, one mother carries almost the entire burden alone. Humans shattered that pattern completely. Childcare was spread across the entire group, not as a favor, as the way survival actually worked. And grandmothers played a role so big, it has its own theory. It is called, genuinely, the grandmother hypothesis. Proposed by anthropologist Kristen Hawkes in the 1990s. It asks why human women live for decades after they stop having children. That is deeply unusual in the animal kingdom. The answer: an experienced grandmother is worth more helping than reproducing. Evolution kept women alive long past childbearing to raise the grandchildren, and the data backs it up. In traditional societies, having a grandmother nearby is one of the strongest survival factors. In some groups, it predicts whether a child lives past age 2. And it was not only grandmothers. Aunts, uncles, older siblings, unrelated adults all shared the care. Babies were held, carried, fed, and watched by many hands all day. In some groups studied today, fathers are within arm's reach of infants nearly half the time. The child lived inside a dense web of people. This was not affection. It was survival engineering. Then there was the milk problem. If a mother could not feed or died in childbirth, which happened constantly, the baby still needed milk to live. So other women in the group breastfed children who were not their own. This was ancient and found across cultures everywhere. It kept orphaned babies alive and bound families tighter together. Breast milk was quite literally a shared community resource. And if no woman could feed the baby, they used animal milk. Goats, donkeys, cows, some foundling homes literally kept goats and let infants nurse straight from the animal. It sounds absurd. For an abandoned newborn, it was sometimes the only option, but feeding was only half the battle. The real enemy was invisible. For thousands of years, the deadliest thing you could give a baby was ordinary water. Nobody knew why. The germ was not discovered until the 1860s. The water carried infections no one could see. Fevers, dysentery, and dehydration killed babies constantly. So parents fought an invisible enemy with the only tools they had: guesswork, tradition, and prayer. Some guesses were surprisingly good, like swaddling. Wrapping a baby tight kept it warm in an unheated house, and cold killed Some guesses were worse: rubbing newborns with salt, bathing them in wine, and giving a crying baby a little alcohol to make it sleep. It worked in the sense that the baby went quiet. Doctors today have strong opinions about that method. Now, you might assume all this loss made parents go numb, that losing children was so common, they simply stopped feeling it. The historical record says the exact opposite. Diaries, letters, and gravestones all show the same thing. Parents grieved every single loss completely, every time. Even ancient infant burials are arranged with care, sometimes with flowers. One historian put it simply: they did not love less. They lost more, so they fought back with everything they had. Amulets against the evil eye, coral necklaces to protect teething babies, church bells for the sick. Baptism rushed within days, just in case. None of it worked. All of it mattered because it was something to do. And then slowly, the real answers arrived. And here's the twist: what finally saved the babies was not a miracle drug. It was boring. It was soap, clean water, sewers, hand washing. In the 1840s, a doctor named Semmelweis noticed something. Far fewer mothers and babies died when doctors simply washed their hands. His reward was to be mocked by other doctors and to die in an asylum. And the hand washing, however, was completely correct. Once cities cleaned their water and heated their milk, child death fell off a cliff. Then vaccines arrived and pushed it down further. Today, out of 1,000 babies born, around 996 live. For almost all of history, your odds to age 5 were a coin flip. Now, the coin lands on life nearly every time. That may be the single greatest thing our species has ever done, and it mostly came down to plumbing and clean hands. But do not forget the older answer, the one we half abandoned. Ancient humans did not raise children alone, or even as a couple. They did it as a group, sharing the load, so no one was the only line of defense. We beat the germs. We are still relearning the village. Time for the verdict. Being a baby in the past, reviewed honestly. The welcome package: a salt rub, a wine bath, and tight wrapping. The meal plan: milk from your mother, the neighbors, or a literal goat. The survival odds: a coin flip, the support team. Prayers, a coral necklace, and everyone you had ever met. Final rating: 1 star. And that star is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Although, credit where due. Every single one of your ancestors survived that coin flip in an unbroken chain. You are the result of the longest winning streak in history. And next time on the channel, half of humanity dealt with something every single month for all of history. And almost nobody wrote a single word about it. What women actually used, believed, and endured. See you then.